everybody. Today, my salamander Alfred would like to introduce the Wedding Party Podcast. And today we are going to talk about animals and children, which is kind of the same thing, at weddings. There's Alfred. He's a long-tailed salamander that I found him behind my cabin when I lived in the woods. I've had him for like 9 years.
Ew. That's so cool. No, it was in cool, not it was an ew. But oh,
he's all fat because I fed him fresh garden worms yesterday.
Perfect.
Anyway, I'm going to move this along.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks. A little bit different than the kitties, but you know. So yeah, so today we're gonna talk a little bit about having kids at weddings versus not having kids at weddings and having animals at weddings. So I don't know, people, again, it's one of those personal preference things about, let's start with kids, because, you know, they can be more complex sometimes. You know, I have couples that they don't want any kids at the wedding at all. And the only reason that they don't want kids at the wedding isn't because they don't like them. It's because they want the parents to actually relax and have a good time, because, you know, you've got all these people who, when they bring their kids, they spend the entire time tending to their children and they don't really get to have fun. So, you know, they're like, yeah, get a babysitter, do a night out, you know, get away from your kids for a little bit.
But it can also be super alienating when, you know, maybe they're traveling, maybe they don't have a childcare set up, or maybe they really just want their kids to be there to be part of this day.
Right.
And I know I've definitely been to some weddings where, you know, the chatter away from the bride and groom was they were so bummed they couldn't bring their kids, or so-and-so didn't make it because they couldn't bring their kids. You know how I feel about inclusive weddings, however that looks.
This is true. Yeah, it's a tough one because, you know, there are definitely things that you can do. You know, I think the big part too is, you know, people think that, well, if you have kids, then you have this many more, you know, you have to add that many onto the catering. But caterers typically have special pricing for children at a certain age. And then, of course, if you have a baby or whatever, I mean, it doesn't, you know, they don't eat much, really. I mean, and even the little ones, I mean, they don't eat a whole lot.
No, they just want like some mac and cheese and a shitload of cake. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as long as you have enough cupcakes, honestly, you're good. But, you know, for an alternative is, you know, we always have some kind of activity for the kids so that they can do something. So, you know, we've set up, you know, activity tables, play areas, mazes, all kinds of things so that the kids can go off and play together and the parents can still have a good time and, you know, enjoy the wedding. So there are things that can be done.
Yeah. And, you know, I feel like the last couple of years, the kids' tables seem to have taken off a lot more than they used to. Where, you know, every once in a while, maybe people would put like a couple bubbles on a table for the kids. But now I feel like the last few years, when you get those kid-friendly weddings, it'll be like 2 or 3 picnic tables pushed together with bubbles and paint and glitter and colors and stickers and things. And the kids go nuts because when they finally get burnt out from all that socializing and doing the things, and I mean, it's overwhelming for adults. You know, it's overwhelming for the kids too, to be able to have that area where they don't have to worry about like staying clean or behaving and just or relaxing with their little tiny friends.
Yeah. And you know, we also do, you know, the yard games aren't just for adults. You know, we have a lot of stuff. There's, you know, and of course, being in Montana, we've got the roping stations and stuff.
Oh man, the kids love
they love those things.
And the beanbag toss.
Yep. What are some of the other ones? I haven't had any. I mean, that's one thing to keep them going. I mean, the last wedding that we did together, I mean, we had all kinds of yard games and stuff. I mean, I think we had the activity table where there was just stuff everywhere. I mean, they just built things and drew and colored and stuff. But then there was also, you know, the cornhole and the the Frisbees and.
Yeah. Or, oh my gosh, I shot this one wedding last year. Oh, I always feel like I say this about all my weddings, but it was one of my favorite weddings that I shot last year. And they got married at the groom's parents' house because it was super intimate and, you know, special to them. And the whole day they just kind of had this like colorful, laid back, family friendly vibe going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the big, you know, driveway was where they had was essentially the dance floor, and they had the band set up there and everything. And so since there was a bunch of kids there, they just bought a bunch of sidewalk chalk.
Oh yeah.
It was so awesome watching the kids essentially decorate the entire dance floor. And so as the day went on, you know, the dance floor got more colorful and more personalized, and the kids were having the best time ever just creating silly stuff for all the adults to dance around.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's just another fun way to include all of your guests. You might be a little monster, but you're still part of that day, and you're loved by the bride and groom, or bride and bride, or whoever.
So then you've got, you know, that's kids as guests. So, but kids in the wedding party. So you may have a situation where you don't want to have kids at your wedding as a guest, but you still want, you know, your niece or whatever as a flower girl, or, you know, your nephew or your, you know, whoever as a ring bearer. And
yeah, it's a lot cuter when a kid brings the flowers down the aisle as opposed to Aunt Julie.
Yeah, but you know what? I had a wedding, and I'm telling you, this was the cutest thing ever. That the grandmothers were the flower girls.
All right, I can get behind grandmas.
These are my goals in life, okay? I want to be the grandmother that's a flower girl at my grandchild's wedding.
You can make this happen. Give it about 20 to 30 more years and you'll be there.
Exactly. So I'm just, you know, I don't know. With kids, you know, you do want to make sure that they get there as close to the ceremony time as possible, because it depends on what their age is. I mean, if they're a little bit older, you know, it's not as bad, but when they're, you know, 2, 3, don't expect a whole lot. I mean, if they make it down the aisle by themselves, wonderful. Yeah. But if they don't, which a lot of them, you know, they want mom to come with them, or they just don't want to do it at all. And it's okay.
Some of those photos are some of my favorite photos from the ceremony, though, because, you know, when the kids start to get nervous or do silly kid things, it like really loosens up the mood. Everyone starts laughing. You get all these amazing candid moments of people laughing and the kids being cute. You know, just roll with it. And
I usually, so when there's, you know, we've got a couple kids who are in the wedding, I always take usually the oldest and I'll put them in charge so that that's their job to make sure that the younger ones, you know, do what they're told. And they take their job very seriously.
Oh, they do. It's so cute.
Oh, yes. They're just like, okay, Miss Erica, I am ready to go. And so-and-so isn't, you know, I'm just like, it's okay. We'll make it. It'll be fine. But then, you know, I mean, there's stuff that can happen. But those are the moments that make it fun. I had one that didn't want to go down the aisle at all. And in the middle of the ceremony decided he was good and he was going to go down then. And right in the middle of all the vows, just went straight up and just stood right between, you know, the bride and groom. And I'm like, okay. And of course, everybody's like, oh my gosh. But it made for the cutest pictures ever. So, yeah, you know, and the bride and groom just laughed. I mean, they didn't care, but that's, you know, that's the kind of stuff that happens. You know, you've got flower girls that you teach them to, you know, do petals, and some of them just do this and then walk.
Or they put like one petal down and then they get to the front of the ceremony and just dump the whole basket.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you never know what they're going to do. And it's awesome. But you know, there's all kinds of ideas to get the little ones down there. You know, I know we've done some stuff where, strategically placing, like I will like be behind the bride and groom or something, you know, hiding, and the photographer will make sure that they don't get me, but still get the picture. So, you know, we try to work like that to kind of coax them down. We've done some crazy things to get kids to do things, but you know,
about about the same success rate as a dog carrying the rings.
Oh my
down.
gosh.
So
Yeah, the dogs. I mean, the dogs are kind of fun.
We definitely did dogs at our wedding. We tied the rings to their, like in a little thing in their collar. And, he took his time getting there, but he made it.
Now, I always tell, like, when we have ring bearers and animals and stuff that are bringing the rings, we usually have, like, that's not the real ring. Like, that's not the actual ring that
I suppose that's a good idea.
Yeah, because I say this because there have been instances, like, so many moons ago, that the kid lost the ring. I mean, he dropped it in the grass, and like it took us, I don't know, we didn't find it for like the whole
did
night.
You find it?
I didn't find it. No.
Did someone find it though?
Someone found it, but it was like,
that would be stressful.
But they had to go through the ceremony without the rings. So, so now it's like, no, let's get some fake rings and put it on. And then we do this, like, it looks like they're giving it to the best man, but really the best man already has the ring. So I always make sure the best man and the maid of honor have the rings, the real ones.
Right there.
Yes. Do not trust. Don't say trust kids, but especially with the animals too, because like dogs will run.
Yeah.
Especially if there's a lake and the dog has the ring and then jumps in the lake and the ring is now at the bottom of the lake. So not saying that's ever happened, but it could. But what else have you experienced? I've had dogs. I've had horses.
Dogs. Alpacas. Cat.
I haven't had a cat.
Yeah, that's it that I can think of, I think.
I have a secret that I can't share with anybody for this year, that I have a whole different animal that's going to be involved in the wedding, in the ceremony. And I can't say anything because I swore to it. So
spoiler alert, it's a giraffe.
It's a giraffe. Oh my gosh. It's a kangaroo. But I'm really excited about it. I've got a couple weddings this year that they're doing a little bit different. They're going off kilter a little bit on the animals.
We like off.
Yeah, but they are farm animals. I'll say that. Because I've got
cows. I've had cows at weddings before too.
Oh, we had a pig. I forgot about the pig. Yes, we had pigs. It was awesome. It was great. It was weird, but it was fun. And May is gone. So I'm going to sit here and just finish up about she went away. She left me here all by myself. So, you can do all kinds of things. Just know that when you're dealing with kids and animals, you just really have to expect anything could happen, anything. With animals, the one thing that you do want to make sure though, before you decide to have an animal in your wedding party, is to check with the venue. I mean, if you're doing on a private residence, it's not going to be an issue, but you want to make sure that if you are having your wedding on in public land or at a public place, that you want to make sure that they approve it. There are a lot of places that they do not approve of animals, either because of wildlife or some instances that they've had before. A lot of it has to do with insurance and legalities. But, they will let you, if it's just the couple's animal, they will let you do that. And then maybe take some pictures, but then you need to have somebody, we usually arrange to have the animal taken either to a room or back to the kennel or, someplace away from everybody so they don't have to worry about it for the rest of the evening. So I'm just going to kind of go through real quick. Kids and animals, it's totally, your choice on what you want to do. There again, you'll see a theme in all these videos. There is no right or wrong answer. You do what you want to do. It's your wedding. It's your day. If you decide that you don't want to have kids, it's okay. that's what you want to do, and your guests they'll understand. So we actually have done things where we've set up daycare offsite if we've got a lot of out of town weddings. So that's another thing that you can do. You can hire somebody in a hotel room or somebody's house, get everybody there, and they can drop the kids off and then pick them up in the morning. So have a little kid party. And that's another thing as a planner that I can do is, we can create a little kids reception away from the parents so that they have their own time. So here's May again. Hi, May. She's back. I've been talking without you.
How fun was that? How long was I gone?
You were gone for about, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes.
Ooh, I was in another dimension.
It was awesome.
I'm back.
So we were just kind of wrapping it up, unless there's anything else that you have. Little things that we're talking about is check in with the venue to make sure that they allow animals, because some venues don't. And then, if you do decide to bring your animal, but, they can't keep them there, then we usually have somebody that will take them either off site or back to a kennel or something. And and then with kids, we've done things where we had off site daycare so that we can
put them in the
kennel with the kids. But we can do a like a little kids reception at somebody's house or whatever, so that my husband's home with the dog. They're making noise. Like, stop. So, there's all kinds of things that we can work around. But the biggest thing is, if you decide that you want a wedding and you do not want kids there, it's your wedding, it's your decision. We will work around it and we'll find a solution. Same thing if you want kids there, we'll work around it. We'll find a solution. Same thing.
I've had some clients that, obviously everyone that has an animal knows that it's basically your child. And right. Especially couples getting married, in a lot of cases, their first children are their dogs, mm-hmm. and they want them to be part of the wedding day, but maybe their dog isn't that good around groups of people, or the venue doesn't allow dogs. There's sometimes those factors that, I don't know, maybe you touched on that while I was in the black hole, mm-hmm. but some workarounds for that is that we will just have them bring the dogs briefly for some photos, maybe like during the first look, or have a friend that, knows the dogs well enough that they can bring them just for, maybe 20 minutes for some pictures, and then they take them back. Right. So there's ways to make it work if you want your fluffy buddies in a photo, but maybe it's not going to work with whatever's going on that day.
Oh, okay. And that trend, I'm going to say it, I know it's going to be unpopular, but the trend where they're carrying puppies instead of bouquets?
What? That's a trend?
You haven't heard of this? Okay.
No.
Yeah, so there's this whole thing where they're instead of flowers, they're either holding puppies or cats or something. That looks really awesome and cute for a picture, but the logistics of it is a nightmare.
Puppies pee a
lot, and then you have to stand up there, and they all have to hold it, and then there's just, and then you've got your maid of honor with like 2.
Totally, yeah. Wow, how did I miss this whole thing?
I don't know. Come on.
I clearly don't have my finger on the pulse of the wedding industry.
You need to get up to speed, Right? I think they should do something like parrots.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Arg,
or vultures, or I don't know.
Vultures and love, those go together great.
Nothing says I love you like a vulture.
Like during the ceremony, instead of a sand ceremony or a tree ceremony, a vulture come and like scavenge some meat. I don't know. It'd be fun.
Throw a carcass or something in the middle of the aisle and just watch them swarm.
A unity carcass. Yeah.
I'm sure somebody's going to think that's an awesome idea.
Hey, and I'll photograph it.
It's funny because I come up with really great ideas, and anybody who's done a wedding with me, who has hired me, knows that I have fantastic ideas. Some of them are so fantastic that they just can't bring themselves to do it, like in real life, because
they're just not bold enough.
I had one that we were supposed to do the alpacas, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was just the logistics of getting the alpacas back and forth and doing all that just wasn't in the cards that day.
I love alpacas and their goofy fucking faces. I shot a wedding at a couple, they got married on their farm. Their farm has alpacas. And so I definitely asked them, I was like, do you guys want to do a picture with the alpacas where you're, you know, making the same faces as the alpacas? And they didn't even hesitate. They're like, yes.
Yes.
And I have some of the most ridiculous photos of, you know, the bride and groom trying to impersonate their alpacas with the alpacas behind them. And it's just so silly.
That's awesome.
Have fun on your wedding day, people.
Well, yeah. And I mean, the horses are, you know, I mean, the horses can be fun. You know, because we've had everything from, you know, obviously the horse-drawn buggies, and we've had the brides ride in on the horse, or they ride off on the horse, or, you know, it's just the way
we love horses.
Yeah. So
have you ever had anyone release doves?
No.
Well, bucket list item.
Bucket list item. I would love for someone to do doves. I don't know how I feel about that though.
The doves?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. It's kind of like,
I mean, because they're in this cage, and then like where do they go? Like,
well, we're releasing them. They're going into the universe of love.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Are we doing the doves a favor, or are we just?
Yeah, but then you see, with my luck, the way things go, you release the doves and they shit on everybody's head. And then, you know, and everybody's miserable for the rest of the night. So I just dogs
and kids. Then stick
to domesticated animals. You know, I'm trying to think what other animal would be really fun to do. A giraffe. You know, there's a photographer that we both know, Beth.
Yes, Beth Waldron.
Yes. And didn't she have a wedding? God, I wish Beth was on here. Didn't she have a wedding with, they had all kinds of circus things?
I don't know. But
this was years ago.
It sounds like
there's pictures on her website. And I think there was like all kinds of circus animal things. I know they all had like circusy things. Fun. So that would be fun.
Yeah, let's do a circus.
Let's do that. Hey, let's do, we still have to do, so May and I want to do like themed weddings. So if you ever want a themed wedding that's a little off, we got you on that. Little Shop of Horrors wedding, we're gonna do that.
Yeah, and by off, it can be off cult classics. You know,
I still want to do the steampunk wedding.
Yeah, and the Little Shop of Horrors wedding.
Yes. Okay, so we'll do another thing on themed weddings. That can be another topic. All right, so any last words on the animal/kids at weddings?
Nope, other than I'm all for it. The more mammals at your wedding, the better. Why not?
Yeah, just make sure you like, don't feed them right before the wedding, and don't feed them too far before the ceremony, because, and this goes for the kids and the animals, because, you know, you have to plan that. I mean, and I know this is something that nobody wants to talk about because, you know, but have you ever seen, you know, they fed their like 1-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, and then they're going down the aisle and then they squat.
Oh yeah. Spit up.
Or they'll spit up. You know, so so you kind of have to, there's a method to that as well.
Or even more, darling, my dog, it doesn't matter how empty she is.
Oh,
if
yeah.
she's excited around people, she's going to take a dump in the most awkward, embarrassing spot you can imagine. I've literally had like people pointing and laughing as they walked by me on the sidewalk downtown in Missoula, and I'm just like,
let me tell you who so when you have animals walk down and say something does happen, you know, where they decide to relieve themselves in a solid manner down the aisle, yeah, I'm gonna be the one that's gonna clear the aisle before the couple walks down, or, you know, the bride or
you got your gold-plated pitchfork and you just,
I'm telling you, I'm a mucking fool. So, all right. I don't think I have anything else. I think
I think we nailed it.
I think, did we cover it all? Oh, and naps. Make sure that the kids have naps before.
Yes.
Because they get cranky.
Yes.
There's nothing worse than a kid that's just, not a happy camper, because you need, like, I'm the same way though. I need a nap and a snack before the ceremony. I always have
snacks in my pocket at a wedding. I'm shameless.
Oh, I do too. I've always got something going on. That's why animals love me at weddings, because they know I've got treats.
I've also learned too to bring extra, so I can dole out the snacks. You need a snack? You need a snack? Like, Ashley will laugh at me because every time she gets in my car for a wedding, there's literally like a cooler and a bag of snacks. I'm always like, you want something? You need something? I got it.
So May's that creepy stranger that will try to give your kids a treat. Hey, little girl, do you want a piece of candy? She's harmless. I swear. All right. So that concludes our kids and animals episode.
Yes.
Gosh, you know what we should do? We should go out and like do an animal thing and like, I don't know, bring animals more than the salamanders and the cats.
What's that supposed to mean? Are my animals not good enough for you?
No, other animals, not just yours. I mean, I know I can bring Cleo in here, but.
Okay, our next podcast will be at a local alpaca farm where we will pet them and hug them.
And we'll interview them. We can interview the alpacas.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this? Okay. I did it again. I do this a lot.
You're just impersonating an alpaca, Erica. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I just don't want anybody offended. I don't mean to offend anybody if I do. All right, let's end this before I start going off. All right, see you later. See you next time. Bye.